In this video, I'm gonna challenge myself to create a monster animation in Blender in 1 hour, and then 10 hours, and then finally 100 hours. And I think it ended up being closer to 50 hours, but it sounded better in the title, so I started the 1 hour challenge with very low expectations, because a time constraint as tight as this one really puts a lot of limitations on the creative process. So yeah, let's see how that goes. First thing I did was delete the default cube and bring in a new one for good luck. Then I went into edit mode and started extruding this cube to form a basic humanoid shape to sculpt on. And since hands are quite difficult to get right, I cut down on the time by having only 3 fingers. I thought that was pretty smart. Then I gave him a subdivision surface modifier and went straight to sculpting. I spent roughly 10 minutes to sculpt him into this creature that was heavily inspired by Stranger Things, like the Demogorgon, and then added in a second cube to make the teeth. I used the mirror modifier and started placing these teeth around the mouth, and then it was time to get some textures onto him. Using the ambient occlusion node let me make this color variation for the crevices, and then I took the safe route and made him glossy and used a noise texture for some bumps in the skin. Adding in a basic armature and using the auto weight option made him poseable, and then I just started working on a simple animation. This shows why it's really important to put some effort into creating a nice rig with inverse kinematics, because animating without it it's just painful. Not my proudest work, but at least we got something in 55 minutes. So that's good. For the second monster though, we have significantly more time. In 10 hours you can really afford to put some more thought into the concept for the scene. But the problem is that there's no time to backtrack if you make any mistakes or want to change anything, so I just had to sort of go for it. I want to take a quick moment to thank this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives, and there are thousands of really high quality classes on everything from filmmaking and 3D visual effects to music production, writing, and even business and career related topics. Don't get me wrong, learning on YouTube can be awesome, I do it all the time, but sometimes it's nice to be able to just sit down with a course that takes you exactly where you want to go. It's especially useful for us Blender users, since learning a new software this complicated can be really hard. And I remember starting out and not really knowing where to begin. Skillshare solves this issue with step-by-step courses and learning paths made by professionals in the area where you want to learn. Skillshare is right now giving away a free month of full access for absolutely free to the first 500 people to go through the link in the description. So now is a great time to get started. Claim that free month now, and then when you have time, check out this awesome learning path by Alden Peters to get a huge learning boost in Blender visual effects creation. Big thanks to Skillshare for bringing this video to you. I started off with just sculpting this blob of clay into some interesting shapes to get ideas for the monster design. I was pretty happy with this shape right here, so I added in a cube and fit it to the shape to create a cleaner mesh to add details to. Because we have nice clean geometry, we can use the Multiresolution modifier to sculpt on different levels of detail. This has been a great update to my creature workflow, and it keeps everything neatly organized and running smooth in the viewport. After refining the shapes like this, I created my own set of skin brushes and used those to paint on some texture. And this is honestly my favorite part of sculpting, because it adds so much detail with quite little effort, and yeah, it sort of brings the sculpt alive. I baked the high level details to a normal map to speed up the rendering later, and experimented with some different shaders to get a nice fleshy look. Then I went on to create a simple armature rig, and I remembered my lesson from the previous monster and added in some IK constraints. And here I had the idea to experiment with a simpler version of the muscle simulation that you see on modern creature effects. So I created these muscle objects and gave it a cloth sim. Then with weight paint I could select which parts of the monster should be deformed by it, and then I connected it with the surface deform modifier. You can see the results were not perfect, but I think it adds a little bit to the realism of the movement, and this is definitely something that's worth experimenting with more in the future. I wanted to put this monster in a forest at night, so I thought it would be a cool idea to have some moss growing on his back, so he kind of blends into the environment before the reveal. Then I animated this simple animation by hand and started blocking out the environment around this. I scattered some rocks and grass and then animated a simple handheld camera movement. After rendering out the sequence and adding some post-processing effects, this was the final result for the 10-hour monster. Alright, so we're getting somewhere, but still it's not very polished. So let's continue with the 100-hour monster, or more like the unlimited time constraint monster video part challenge. It's not really a challenge though, but it's just me creating a monster effect. So let's get started. I spent a lot more time getting the anatomy to look more realistic, and also put some more effort into the small details on the face and hands, for example. I made these blind looking eyes and baked all of the small scale details onto normal maps. And I also had a lot more time to put some effort into the texturing and experiment with the subsurface scattering to get a real nice skin effect. To add some blood around the mouth and on the body, I texture painted a black and white mask using different blood textures I found online, and then I used that mask to blend in a blood material. I exported the final monster as an FBX file and let Mixamo handle the rigging, and as you can see it worked pretty good. I wanted to create sort of like a short film sequence using this monster, and I had this idea of like special forces soldiers hunting it through the woods at night, sort of like that one Love, Death and Robots episode, but in a modern setting almost. To be able to have some interaction between the monster and the people in the scene, I made this rough 3D scan of myself in the costume using Meshroom. So I placed my hand on these tripods to stay still in a T-pose, and had my brother grab a video just walking around in a circle around me. Then I converted that video into a image sequence in Blender and loaded it all into the photogrammetry software, and it actually handled it pretty well considering how quick the setup was. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the gas mask during filming because it was like fogging up, so I couldn't see where I was walking, which was a big issue. So I had to do some manual cleanup on the 3D scan to remove the gas mask and add in the balaclava, or like the face cover, instead. Since we've already established that creature animation isn't really my strongest skill in Blender, I used my Rokoko motion capture suit to capture all of the animation needed. This actually outputs a surprisingly clean animation, and then you can do some cleanup or layer changes on top of it using the Blender NLA editor. It's a little bit tricky to learn, but it's a lifesaver when working with mocap data. I used the software Cascador to create the Ragdoll animations, and I spent more time than I'd like to admit just playing around with the Ragdoll simulation. It's just something about it that's so interesting. Maybe that's... I used this AI software called Switchlight Studio to extract a rough estimate of the lighting conditions from just a single image. I have no idea how this works, but it sort of outputs an HCRI that matches the scene, sort of. And it works pretty good. And then I brought that into my scene as an environment texture. This basically makes it so that any 3D objects I render can be seamlessly placed into the footage, and the lighting matches pretty good actually. Because my shots were pretty static, I didn't really need to do much 3D tracking. It worked pretty good to just line up the 3D camera by eye and then 2D track that render into the footage in post. And after a ton of compositing work, both adding in the monster into the scenes and also doing these clone shots, this was the final result. Thank you so much for watching this video, and special thanks to the almost 70,000 of you that decided to support the channel by subscribing. Just thank you guys for supporting this channel. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.